Hey guys, Martin here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to be doing the team building guide for the BROLY Trio EZA. This is the first major EZA to come out during the first part of the anniversary, because technically STR-UI Goku was obviously part of the countdown celebration. So this is the first major EZA to release in part 1. We also have the sub-EZAs for the Bardock and Gine and the Paragus and Broly, but they do awaken with medals from EZAs that already exist in the game. So obviously you are able to pre-farm those ahead of time. But yeah, this one is going to be its actual own Extreme Z battle. So there's no page up on the wiki for it, but of course it is an LR EZA, which means a couple of things are guaranteed. It will be 10 stages. Each stage 1 to 10 will give you 3 stones for completing it, so that you get 30 stones at the end once you have beaten all 10. There is also always a mission for LR EZAs, which is just to beat stage 7. And that will give you 3 stones, making the total 33 stones. Now, with every other LR EZA, whilst there is also a special bonus category, the category are the characters that will take less damage from the boss, and that category is movie heroes. But as it is an LR EZA, there is also the factor that having the Link legendary power active will do more damage to the boss. So that means you are able to beat this event a lot faster the more LRs you have on your team. It's no surprise they always release these EZAs as part of a celebration where one of the new characters that has come out will have an advantageous leader skill, and obviously be a lot easier for you to beat these EZAs and new events if you've pulled the new units. And of course, Carnival Gogeta is a 200% leader for movie heroes. So the more LRs you can get on the team, the better. You do get all the medals you need to EZA them. You get 5 physical type Kais, so you can get them straight up to SA25. You also get some physical orbs for the hidden potential as well. So if we jump over and take a look at the movie heroes category. Now, this category is very big. It has quite a few LRs on it and a pretty decent number of units. It, of course, has been one of the strongest categories in the game for quite some time. So I feel like this one is going to be pretty straightforward. I'm sure a lot of you guys out there can probably guess most of the units that we are going to pick and talk about during the video. Because as always, with my team building guides, I will be talking about my top picks and honorable mentions for this event. If there's any units you think I missed out or should have talked more about, do let me know down below in the comment section. And obviously, if you find this guide helpful at all, do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, jumping straight in, of course, we're going to talk about LR Gogeta straight away, because as already mentioned, he is the new movie heroes leader, Carnival lead for 200%, which means if you do have him, you bring him as the leader and you can just run any of the units on the category and they will all be getting the full 200% leader skill. No need to mix and match with these other units that have 170s and plus 30s. Everyone will just be on the 200% movie heroes. And of course, if you don't have your own Gogeta yet, if you didn't get him in your summons, or maybe you just went all in for Broly, you obviously want to be using this Gogeta as a friend. He's a very, very powerful unit. Picking up Rainbow Orb means he gets a guaranteed additional super, so he can throw out tons of damage even just on the first turn. So it wouldn't be surprising if with Legendary Power active, he can solo the boss for the first couple of stages potentially. So he is the absolute #1 go-to unit and the best leader that you can use for this event. Next up, we have the AGL LR Super Saiyans from the 2022 Worldwide Celebration. They lead joined forces all movie heroes, and then they give an extra 30% to pure Saiyans. So you can still run a full movie heroes team and get 170. Any pure Saiyans on the team will be getting the 200% from them, and then obviously you can bring a friend Gogeta to get the full 200% as well. The friend Gogeta would of course only get the 170, but he's a more than powerful unit enough to make do. So these guys, they got underrated, I think, a little bit. I mean, I say that, they seem to age very quickly. Even on release, they didn't seem that great to me. I only got the 1 copy of them on release, so maybe that soured my opinion of them. But obviously in something like an EZA, which is not the hardest event in the game by any stretch, they will definitely be very effective. They have damage reduction at the start. They can throw out some additional super attacks. They definitely can be a unit that can be on the team to throw out a bunch of extra damage. Another LR on the squad to get the Legendary Power Link active. And they definitely can be very useful. Obviously, with the amount of time it takes them to build up, you're never going to see their full abilities. Very unlikely you'll be able to receive 7 or more attacks on one unit before the end of a normal Extreme Z battle fight. so you're probably not going to see the costume change for them, but they can definitely be a solid unit. Next up, we have the LR Gods from the 7th anniversary. Obviously, they lead movie heroes for 170 and give an extra 30% to the Kamehameha category. This unit will be very, very good. They guard on the first turn, so obviously the fact that their tech doesn't make any difference. They get extra key per orb. They can get guaranteed additional supers if you get the extra key, as well as being effective against all types. So these guys will be very, very good. On the first few stages, if you get a rotation turn 1 of these guys and then the Gogeta, you're just going to be absolutely flying through, right? Put these guys in slot 1, they guard, legendary powers active, they throw out a couple of supers, Gogeta throws out a couple of supers, and then there you go, you've done a ton of damage. So these guys definitely going to be very useful. In the later stages, you could potentially get to turn 4, and then obviously that will see their transformation, where you can pick up rainbow orbs in order to get increased dodge chance. They also have their active skill, which, you know, when you get to turn 4, the enemy is likely going to be at 50% or less HP, so you can use their active skill straight away to do a nice big chunk of damage. So definitely very, very useful. I would say they are a go-to unit. They're probably the next best leader after Gogeta, and then the AGL Super Saiyans after them, right? Then we have the STR, Bardock, and Guinea. Now remember, these guys are one of the sub-EZAs. They will be releasing tomorrow as well. So if you pre-farm the medals for them, or if you don't and you just want to do their EZA first, if you EZA these guys, they will be a big benefit to the team. Now, they are only a TUR, which means they can't activate legendary power, but after they receive their EZA, they have a 2-turn support buff effect on their super attack, which means if they're in slot 3 and you've got 2 LRs in slot 1 and 2, the LRs are doing their bit with the legendary power, doing a chunk of damage. These guys super in slot 3, and then your LRs on the next rotation are getting a pretty significant buff. So they can be very useful. Also, once they've EZA'd, I think their leader skill goes up to 150 for movie heroes. So they could be a sub lead if you don't have any of the other better movie heroes leader options. You obviously could use these guys instead. The other unit I wanted to mention here, who of course is a TUR, is the God Goku. Now, the only thing I would say about him is he's on movie heroes. He leads Pure Saiyans and Hybrid Saiyans, so you can throw together a team of a lot of the characters that we have mentioned so far. But remember, his leader skill doesn't cover any fusions. So if you want to use him on as the leader, not only can you not bring fusion units yourself, but if you decide to bring a friend, Carnival LR Gogeta, then that Gogeta won't be getting the leader skill from this Goku. Now, in the earlier phases, it probably doesn't even matter. Like, that Gogeta is powerful enough that he'll be able to get through even with just half a leader skill. But for the later stages, and especially if you are struggling a little bit, you know, this guy, he can be a good stand-in, but I probably wouldn't want to sacrifice being able to bring the friend Gogeta. Obviously, you can run him on the team if you're just running a straight-up movie heroes team, and he can be very, very good. Pick up the 6 orbs, he'll guard, he'll get the additional super. The only difference, of course, is, you know, he's a TUR, so he's not going to be doing as much damage, but it's totally possible to complete LR EZAs with a full team of TURs. I have done it in the past, it just takes a lot longer. So he's a very good unit. If you are going to have to throw some TURs on there, he's a very solid unit to have on the team. So next up we have the STR Gogeta from the 5th anniversary. I mean, he's kind of a shoo-in, right? Especially with the new LR Gogeta running around. This guy has type advantage. He has the ability to be put in slot 3 and get some dodge as well as an additional attack. So I would say he is another one, very much a go-to unit on the team if you have him. And with his leader skill, Final Trump Card or Fusion, you can make a full movie heroes team out of his leader skill. And then obviously the friend Gogeta just leads movie heroes in general, so that'll be fine. And as we've already mentioned with the gods, you could get to turn 4, and then he will transform into Blue Gogeta, where he then, of course, has a 100% chance to dodge. And, you know, he's going to throw out a bunch of extra attacks, bunch of damage. It's pretty much a case if you get to turn 4 in this EZA, even in, like, you know, stage 10, with all the transformations going off and stuff like that, turn 4, very likely going to be the last turn, because you'll be putting out an absolute ton of damage. Next up, we have the Tech Carnival Super Saiyan Goku, aka Birdku. Very good unit for this stage, considering the lower difficulty compared to, like, you know, endgame red zone stuff. He can take some hits, build up his defense. He has the revive, which can be used, you know, even on turn 2. If you take a big hit on turn 1, he can come in and get the revive on turn 2, which can potentially be useful if you are struggling with the later stages. This guy is just an all-around very strong option to bring into this event and just put in slot 1 as a good slot 1 defensive unit. So don't feel like we need to say a huge amount about this guy. He's definitely very good. I would consider bringing him on the team 100%. Very, very straightforward pick. Remember, of course, that with EZAs, one of the few events left in the game where you can only bring one unit with the same name, because we do also have this AGL Super Saiyan Goku, who with his EZA, he can hit really, really hard. He does work better on a full Super Saiyans team, but there are obviously quite a few characters on the Super Saiyans team, like the new Gogeta, the God Goku we talked about. There's a few characters on that team that will be able to help him out to get his full buffs, but he will be a very, very hard-hitting unit. So if you don't need the Tech Carnival Goku as like a slot 1 defender, this guy probably overall on average can do more damage depending on like the Super Saiyans allies that you have that will be on the rotation with him. But of course, you can only use one of them at the same time. Next up, we have the Tech Gohan and Goten, the Go Bros. These guys can be very good in this kind of event, right? They throw out a bunch of additional super attacks. They build up to some pretty decent numbers. Their defense isn't the craziest, but that's why this kind of event is perfect for them, because it's not on that higher end of the difficulty scale. They do want a Goku on the team in order to get their full buffs, especially on the same turn if they really want their full buffs. But that's why units like that Tech Carnival Goku can be really good, because he can sit in slot 1, you can have these guys in slot 2, and then between them they are going to be able to do a lot of damage. You have the Family Kamehameha, can be activated when HP is 59% or less against one enemy who from the start of the 3rd turn. So from turn 3 is a good condition. 59% or less HP, not so much. Unless you're struggling with the later stages, you're probably not going to be losing that much HP, but the option is definitely there, and that will do some nice damage as well. Next up, we have the Physical Ultimate Gohan. So you can technically, I think, make a team with his lead. Obviously, Movie Heroes is one of his plus 30%. He has guard for the first 3 turns, which can be very, very useful. If you're getting enough ki, then obviously he can get a bunch of supers he can build up. He has his active skill, which if all allies are superheroes, can be used on turn 3. And obviously characters like the new Gogeta are on superheroes. So that could be very useful, even if it doesn't do a lot of damage early on when he's not fully built up. It can have it has the action break ability, which is very, very useful as well. So Gohan, definitely decent. I don't know if he makes it into the top picks for the team just because of how well he links with some of the other units. But of course, Gogeta being a Rainbow Orb Changer is very, very helpful for him as well, because he changes orbs to Rainbow that are not physical. So physical and rainbow orbs are likely to be abound on the field, which will be very, very good for Gohan to actually get his super attacks. So that can be very useful as well. Next up, we have the LR Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Obviously, he has his EZA on JP. He can hit incredibly hard when you get that 18 key super. You can go for like the first turn, deliberately getting the 12 key to give him a little bit of build up. And then because EZAs are a little bit shorter, then on like turn 3, I would just go all in for the 18 key. And to be honest, in the early half of the event stages, easily, he's probably going to finish off the boss with that big 18 key super if he has legendary power active. So he is definitely, I think, one of the top picks I would bring, especially with links like Over in a Flash he'll share with Gogeta. I think he will definitely be a worthwhile addition for clearing this event very, very quickly with that 18 key Dragon Fist. Now, of course, there is the new one that came out for the New Year's Dual Dokkan Fest. He is not an LR, and because of the same name thing, you can only run one or the other. Now, he can put out a ton of damage. He does have the standby, which you can use on turn 3 if you're below 70% HP, which then of course allows him to insta-counter a super with the Dragon Fist. He can potentially do a lot of damage, but just because of the way LR EZAs work, I would still recommend bringing the LR version over him just because of all that extra damage that Legendary Power does. But if you don't have the LR and you do have this guy, which maybe is a lot less likely considering he's one of the newest Dokkan Fests on JP right before the anniversary, but he can be very, very good on the team if you do choose to bring him. He also does have a Movie Heroes lead, so if you don't have the LR, he's another one that could stand in to be the leader instead. He has a similar, he basically has the leader skill that the gods has, right? Movie Heroes and then 30% to Kamehameha, but he's also giving it to Super Saiyan 3. I don't think there are any other movie hero Super Saiyan 3s, but yeah, very, very strong unit, but he is a TUR. Then we have Gamma 1, including a few TURs at the end here. Gamma 1 has type advantage. He's a defensive support. He builds up by getting hit. He's just a very strong unit you could bring on the team. He's either going to be there for support, or maybe if you get a bad first rotation, you can throw him in slot 1 and he'll be pretty good defensively. All in all, he's just a unit I would throw in to be a bit of support. Normally with these LR EZAs, like I say, you want to get legendary power active all the time. So both your rotations, you really want your slot 1 and 2 unit to be LRs, but then you can bring slot 3 units like this guy who are just providing support. And then obviously that makes things go a little bit smoother. So Gamma 1, definitely a good pick as well. Then we have STR Piccolo. He's exactly in the same boat. Very strong support unit. He also gets buffs based on the movie heroes allies on the team. So he is, of course, a strong pick for support as well. And he has type advantage. He's there's an extreme class enemy, so he's getting his full passive and his full buffs. So he's very, very strong. We have the Path to Power Kid Goku. If you get 7 orbs, he gives everyone on the rotation damage reduction. So he's obviously a very strong support for the team now as well as a slot 3 unit. He can also hit relatively hard, so he's not slacking in the damage department either, even though obviously he is a TUR. Then we have the Tech Vegeta from Battle of Gods. He's a unit that he's not really like a normal support unit, right? He needs to get hit 3 times to then give a 2-turn support buff. He does have guard for 3 turns. Once he's received 6 attacks, he can transform, but it's not until turn 5. I very rarely see this guy actually transform, even though I often bring him on teams for that little bit of support. So he's probably one of the weaker supports because he has to get hit 3 times to even activate it, but he is a worthwhile unit to consider. Doesn't clash names with anyone, has common like Super Saiyan links and stuff, so he definitely can be very useful. And then last but not least, we'll include the boy Pycon. You know, he's not going to be top tier again until he gets his EZA, but he has that Ghost Usher active skill, although you can only use it on turn 4, so it's going to end up more of a finisher in this kind of thing. But if you pick up a Rainbow Orb, he has that dodge chance. If you get the 3 type orbs, he's giving everybody 30% attack and defense. So he can definitely be useful as another one of these 3rd slot floating support units that's just there to giga boost all your LRs. So the one unit I can't believe I forgot to bring up the page for is, of course, LR Piccolo. I realized as we talked about STR Piccolo, of course this guy, super good on the team, can go in slot 1, build up by getting hit really hard. Now, it's good to get a good linking rotation of him with STR Piccolo, but I would say you probably want to put like an LR in slot 1, put this Piccolo in slot 2 and STR Piccolo in slot 3, or vice versa, STR Piccolo slot 1, LR Piccolo slot 2 and another LR in slot 3, because you want him to have legendary power active. The problem is that he ideally wants to be in slot 1 to get hit first, to get built up, so the combo of him and the STR Piccolo probably isn't as useful in this event because you're sacrificing the legendary power link, but obviously he is a very strong unit to bring. So just having a quick look at the category here, I didn't mention any int units because of the type disadvantage, but obviously the LR Super Saiyans will be incredibly powerful. You pick up their orbs, they can get a bunch of supers, they build up their defense really high, they have damage reduction, so they can survive. Even in the early turns, they would probably survive a super from some of the early stages. But I only didn't include them because they're int, but they definitely could be a very strong option as well. Tapion and Minosha, I mean, they need their EZA. They could be okay, I guess. Same with like the 3-year Gogeta. They have built-in dodge. They confuse to give you a full heal, but it's not until turn 6, so you're likely to never see that. And then I tried not to mention too many TURs outside of supports. Like Gamma 2, if you're bringing Gamma 1 and you can't make a full team of LRs, then obviously he could be there to deal a bunch of extra damage. The AGL Gogeta, of course, has the same name as the new LR, so we can't run him on our team if we have the new LR, but if you don't, you could bring him, and obviously you can bring the friend LR Gogeta still. In terms of tech, there's not many that stand out. Can't use the God Goku for this one, sadly. And then, yeah, int, I didn't mention any of those. STR, the free-to-play Yamcha's cool, but he doesn't really fit on the team with the rest of the other characters or anything. The STR God Goku, if you're not using the physical one on the team, he's okay. The God Vegeta can be okay defensively. Like his EZA wasn't anything super special, but the event's not super difficult, so he should be okay. And then, yeah, physical-wise, no one else here really stands out all that much. So there you go. Like I said, my top picks and honourable mentions for how to build a team to very easily beat this EZA. Let me know what you guys think down below. Like I said at the start, if there's any units you think I missed out or should have talked more about, do let me know in the comment section. And, of course, let me know what your team build is going to be for the LR, Broly, Chilai, and Lemo Extreme Z battle. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.